I'm Lieutenant Colonel, retired Lloyd Beaumont, and I had command of the Royal Regina Rifles from 1970 to 1975. A rifle regiment has special quiffs, we used to call them, and whatnot, that makes a rifle regiment a little different. And it also helps make the comradeship more binding or closer. Once you're a rifleman, you become quite close to the other riflemen. Once a rifleman, always a rifleman, perhaps. Well, I think the bond for the rifles is their landing on D-Day and their good history as a result of what they accomplished landing on D-Day, although they lost a lot of men. One of the challenges that I ran into when I became commanding officer was during the hippie era. And we had trouble getting young fellows to get haircuts, for example. So what we did, we'd bring them in, dress them in coveralls and a web belt, and tell them that they couldn't have a uniform until they got a haircut. So they would march and carry on with their coveralls, and eventually they became part of the regiment and wanted their uniform and got their hair cut. And that was a real move forward, especially at that period. Also, I brought in a number of young officers, and I sat them down one night and tried to teach them about having a mess dinner, nice formal mess dinner, all dressed up and whatnot, and wasn't getting any response from anybody. So there was one young fellow in the group whose father was a major. So I thought, well, maybe he'd be a good fellow to ask what they would like to do. So I did, and long pause, and finally he said, well, sir, if it was up to us, what we'd like to do is buy a case of beer, set it in the center of the floor, and we'll just sit around and drink it. That was the kind of socializing they wanted in those days. The other thing that's happening in the military from my day is the role of the female, and the female being right in the front line. Initially they were secretaries and truck drivers, and not anymore. They carry a rifle and march. I joined during the Korean campaign. When I was finished training was just when the Korean campaign was winding down. So I came back to a militia unit. If things would have escalated in Korea, all I had to do was draw a rifle and I was away, which is similar to what's happening today.